Welcome and thank you for tuning into another showing of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry and it's a pleasure to guide you on today's show. As we close out May, we take a moment to recognize Lyme Disease Awareness Month. Lyme disease is a bacterial infection transmitted through the bite of an infected tick. Because these ticks are extremely small, many people may not realize that they've been bitten. If left untreated, Lyme disease can cause symptoms such as fever, rash, facial paralysis, irregular heartbeat, and arthritis. As you go about your daily activities, stay mindful of your surroundings and pay close attention to any unusual changes in your body. Early detection is important. Please stay with us. We have more after this.
Good day, I'm Jabertha Atkinson, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, May 27, 2026. The Bank of Jamaica is projecting that inflation will rise above its target range of 4 to 6% over the next several months due to ongoing conflict in the Middle East and rising global oil prices. BOJ Governor Richard Biles made the disclosure during the bank's quarterly media briefing on Tuesday. The conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran has now entered its fourth month, contributing to higher energy and transportation costs globally.
Inflation in Jamaica is therefore forecast to trend upward over the June to September 2026 quarters, beyond the 6% upper limit of the bank's target range. This will be mainly driven by supply and cost pressures, including 1. Increased energy and transport-related inflation due to rising crude oil prices, and 2. The second-round impact of higher energy-related inflation on prices of other goods and services, coupled with higher spending related to post-hurricane reconstruction efforts.
To this end, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has decided to keep the policy interest rate unchanged at 5.5% per year, while continuing measures to maintain stability in the foreign exchange market. The BOJ governor also warns that adverse weather conditions linked to the El Niño phenomenon could place additional pressure on agricultural prices. El Niño is a general warming of the Pacific Ocean, contributing to higher overall temperatures and potential drought across the region. Under the circumstances, Governor Biles says Jamaica's inflation and economic forecasts remain grim.
The risks to inflation are assessed to be skewed to the upside, which means that inflation could be higher than projected. The main upside risk is a more extended and broader conflict in the Middle East, resulting in further increases in international commodity prices and their subsequent impact on domestic prices. In addition, adverse weather conditions, including the effects of El Niño, could place upward pressure on agricultural prices.
Meanwhile, the government is assuring the public that it's doing its best to cushion consumers from the impact of the cost of fuel at the pumps and energy costs to businesses and households. That declaration was made by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness during a recent meeting with Petrojam and the Ministries of Finance and Energy to update him on several measures being taken. The Prime Minister says while Petrojam has been purchasing fuel at an expensive rate, the cost has not been passed on to consumers. It was revealed that since the start of the latest Middle East conflict, approximately $22 million has been spent on fuel.
So the government is very, very cautious about instability in the fuel markets in Jamaica because of the inflationary impact. But, the terrible impact that will have on the poor. And so we have taken a posture to, as best as possible, manage the increases. But anyone listening would immediately come to the conclusion that this is not something that can be done for the long term.
Dr. Holness cites consumer behavior changes as an important part of the coping mechanism in this global fuel crisis.
I think at this point, every Jamaican should be thinking about their energy consumption, thinking about their fuel consumption, and how they will conduct their business, and using various conservation methods to ensure that the cost to them is less.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has called on the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, High Command to examine and review its protocols for assisting the injured and removing deceased individuals from crime scenes. Dr. Holness says the matter will be discussed at the National Security Council to accelerate the process and become policy directives.
It is not a good look for us. It is not something I'm satisfied with, nor should any member of the JCF be satisfied with it. It is a complex subject because we don't have emergency services that are available right away. But these are matters that need to be studied carefully. How we treat our injured, our most vulnerable, weakest amongst us, how we treat the remains of the deceased tells us a lot about the kind of civilization we have. And so if the JCF is transforming, then that must be part of the transformation.
The Prime Minister was delivering the keynote address at the 91st cohort graduation exercise for the JCF staff and junior command course on Friday. He asserts that transformation of the force must include stronger standards of professionalism, compassion, and public accountability. Another critical issue addressed by Dr. Holness is the uncivil interaction between citizens and the police force, stating that there is ongoing dialogue with the police commissioner on the matter.
I've seen it so often, it is shared on social media. It makes the country look bad, damaging to our image. It is now time that the JCF develops and deploys, along with other stakeholders, a national public education campaign to, I don't want to use the word teach, but that's what it comes down to educate our citizens about how they should interact with the police, and to educate the police as to how they should interact with the citizens. And this will have to be over a 2 or 3 year period of constant reminders until it becomes muscle memory.
According to Dr. Holness, as the police force goes through its transformation, it must develop even greater capabilities in public order, dispute resolution, crime prevention, security education, and stakeholder management. He continues that uncivil interactions cannot be allowed to continue at this stage of the country's development. And while greater emphasis is being placed on tactical operations, Dr. Holness underscored that the right balance must be in place so as not to destroy public trust. The North Street building of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has been renamed in honor of former Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller. She was also a former Minister of Labour. The symbolic gesture took place on Tuesday at the North Street office and included government ministers, the Leader of the Opposition, and family members, among others. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness said her public life and service to nation building is marked by perseverance, compassion, courage, and deep connection to the Jamaican people.
Her journey is well known, from local government to parliament, from ministerial service to national leadership, and ultimately to becoming Jamaica's first woman prime minister. Portia Simpson Miller broke barriers that stood for far too long. But her significance does not rest only in the offices that she held. It rests on the people who she inspired to dream. She made many Jamaicans feel seen. She spoke to communities that were often ignored. She brought to national life a language of care, a presence, and solidarity for the poor, the worker, the woman, the elderly, and the vulnerable.
Dr. Holness says further recognitions of the former Prime Minister and Labour advocate are in the works, which include the commissioning of a bust sculpture and a documentary and the naming of the 3 Mile overpass. The Western Children and Adolescent Hospital, being built in St. James, was initiated by Mrs. Simpson Miller and will also be named in her honor.
Jamaica recognizes the magnitude of her contribution. We recognize the doors she opened. We recognize the people she served. We recognize the example she set.
Minister of Labour and Social Security Colonel Charles Jr. and the Leader of the Opposition Mark Golding both shared in the tribute of the renaming in her honor.
This particular establishment, which really focused on the overseas work program, was something that she paid particular attention to. She was insistent that the dignity of our workers, especially those who would be traveling far abroad to work, was maintained, that their rights were protected, and that the necessary institutional mechanisms were established that would ensure that that took place.
It will also serve as a reminder to future generations that leadership is measured not only by position, but by impact, by the ability to improve lives, to strengthen institutions, and to expand opportunity for others.
More than 3,000 coconut seedlings have been distributed to farmers in St. Elizabeth to replant crops that were damaged during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The initiative was led by the Ministry of Agriculture in partnership with the Coconut Industry Board. It comes after thousands of coconut growers suffered major losses of productive trees and nuts, resulting in shortages and production gaps across the island. During the recent distribution exercise in St. Elizabeth, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green encouraged farmers to properly care for the seedlings to ensure successful growth and future production.
One of the things that the Coconut Industry Board is going to be doing is providing you with some technical support. So we're not just going to give you the coconuts and leave you alone. We are going to help follow up because we want those coconuts to come to fruition.
And finally, the Denham Town Golden Age Home in Kingston benefited from spruce up activities on Monday. The project included painting and rehabilitation work aimed at improving conditions at the home. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie, who participated in the activities, acknowledged the contribution of key partners involved in the project.
I also want to thank the JDF, who's also been a critical partner with us here in Denham Town, because Denham Town is a part of the Zozo, and they have been working with us, not just on Labor Day, but throughout every occasion that there needs to be something. We have to place emphasis on the institutions that needs their help.
Labor Day activities were carried out at several locations across the constituency, including schools and community facilities. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Jabertha Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
Are you confident that you are the legal owner of your property? Take action to secure your property ownership. Get a registered certificate of title and become the legal owner of your property. To register your property and obtain a certificate of title, you will need to provide a tax registration number (TRN), a valid government-issued identification, a survey diagram, documentation to prove ownership, up-to-date property tax certificate, the names, addresses, and occupations of 2 neighbors over the age of 50 who are not family members and can give a declaration on your behalf. Proof that you have been in open, undisturbed, and undisputed possession of the property for 12 years or more. For further information on registering your property and obtaining a certificate of title, contact the National Land Agency at 876-750-5263 or 876-946-5263. Email asknla@nla.gov.jm or message us at WhatsApp at 876-418-5089. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal to serve you better.
Earthquakes can occur without warning, so it's important to know what to do during and after one strikes. A team from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, visited schools in St. Elizabeth to conduct earthquake safety drills with students.
What if there's a crack in the playfield and we fall and one of us falls in? Should we tell the teacher or try to help them out?
That question is one of the reasons the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, along with ODPEM and the Jamaica Fire Brigade, conducted earthquake drills in some schools in the parish as part of an ongoing effort to raise earthquake awareness and ensure preparedness. Students and staff were drilled on safety protocols, aiming to enhance their ability to respond effectively in the event of a real earthquake.
If you are on the outside or in an open area and you realize that there is a crack in the earth, all you have to do is to remove yourself from that location and take cover elsewhere.
Disaster coordinator at the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, Ornella Lewis, emphasized the importance of these exercises in fostering a culture of preparedness and minimizing risks.
We try to encourage the students and also the staff, visitors who come by, that earthquake preparedness is something that is paramount, and also encourage them that earthquakes happen right throughout the year. We also want to encourage them that earthquakes are always a threat to us here in Jamaica based on our geographical location.
So you're outside and you hear earthquake, the alarm goes off, you duck, you cover on your hole, and you use your hand to kind of block your face. If someone is missing, you tell the teacher that someone is missing, right? You never try to return to the building to find that person.
Earthquake! Okay, give her a clap for me. Very, very good. Right, so you should stay under there a little longer, right? Until you hear the second alarm.
The students' response was commendable in that we have an infant department, and see the younger students responding the way they did. That was commendable on their part. There are always areas in which we can strive to improve.
We would have had some mishaps while we were doing our drill, and so we'll take into consideration all that was shared with us, and going forward we'll ensure with the assistance of the Guidance Council that we practice so that we become perfect at what we do.
Every term we do different simulation exercises. So today we would have showcased what we would have been practicing over the term, last term leading up to this term. So I'm extremely pleased.
At the end of the drill, students gave their take on what they learned.
I learned how to evacuate from the bathroom. There's an earthquake is happen. First thing you do is you duck and go under a desk and hold your head. And then you will look for until you hear another alarm, and then you will line up and come to the assembly point.
Safety is still on the agenda, and up next, we provide tips on how to protect yourself and your family from carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's invisible, odorless, and tasteless, yet carbon monoxide claims hundreds of lives every year. Could your home be at risk?
Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. It will kill you. Carbon monoxide goes to your brain, it shuts off the supply of oxygen. It suffocates you.
This toxic gas builds up quickly in enclosed spaces. Without proper precautions, even a few minutes of exposure can have deadly consequences. Everyday actions like starting your car or running a generator could turn deadly if done in the wrong place.
Do not start the car in the garage and leave the car throttling. The carbon monoxide from that car will kill you in quick time. So if you have a garage, when you are going to start that car and the garage is included, please open the garage door, and hopefully, I'm hoping that the tailpipe, the exhaust will be to the back and will blow the fumes out.
It's not just cars. Other common sources of carbon monoxide include kerosene heaters, charcoal grills, gas stoves, and water heaters. Always ensure proper ventilation when using any fuel-burning appliance. Generators are another common source of carbon monoxide poisoning, particularly during power outages.
If you are sleeping and the generator is inside your house, that fume from the generator will not wake you up. That fumes will put you into a deeper sleep. It will put you into a state of unconsciousness, and you will not wake. Generators must be operated in an open area. If you have a generator room, you must provide for the ventilation. So you put the exhaust and ensure that exhaust goes outside. You don't want the exhaust of a generator to be anywhere inside where people are, because the fumes, the carbon monoxide from the generator attack your red blood cells. It takes away the oxygen.
Simply put, always open your garage doors when starting your car and ensure the exhaust is directed outside. Never use a generator indoors. Keep it at least 25 feet from your house in a well-ventilated area. Carbon monoxide detectors are your first line of defense. Install them near bedrooms, garages, and living areas. Regularly check the batteries and test the alarms. Protect your family from the silent killer. Take precautions today to prevent a tragedy tomorrow. For more safety tips, visit the Jamaica Fire Brigade website at www.jfb.gov.jm. In the event of an emergency, call 112 or 119.
The Scotia Foundation is hosting a tree planting activity that is being supported by our team members from right across Scotia Group, and this activity is being executed in celebration of Earth Day. We felt it was very important for us to play our part to restore the planet, to protect the environment, and what better way to do that than by helping to increase our forest cover.
Corporate support is very important because the planting of trees should be everybody's business. We all benefit from trees in our daily lives.
In total, we are planting 300 seedlings right here in Low River.
Us coming here today to plant trees, we're going to be doing something that will outlast us, that will be here to benefit generations.
And this is our way to build up One Scotia, having these activities.
Tree planting, that's near and dear to me, and so I love to volunteer just to be a part of all the initiative that the bank is doing.
I want to thank Scotiabank for what they're doing today, to take time out of their busy schedules on a Saturday to come out and to help us replant so we can reforest the area.
And this is part of our ongoing restoration efforts in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. And it's also a great team building activity because we're doing this together.
To close out today's show, our last feature will look at a creature that is often misunderstood due to its size. Up next, a team from the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, provides an in-depth look at the American crocodile in Jamaica.
One of the things that we want people to understand is there are various species of crocodiles. Our species here in Jamaica is the American crocodile, and they are not as aggressive as most of the other species.
Species like the Nile and saltwater crocodiles are vastly more aggressive, adapting to their environs and capable of catching other big animals like zebras and buffaloes, etc.
Persons tend to attack the crocodiles if they see them. They tend to see a crocodile and not leave it alone. They think that, the mere presence of the crocodile is a threat.
But the American crocodile, found here mainly in wetlands, rivers, swamps, and coastal areas is much more passive than other species. Its nature is mostly shy and reclusive, avoiding human contact, with a diet consisting of crabs, birds, and fish, things that don't require a lot of aggression because of their lack of hunting drive. But still, they have to endure the misconceptions of more aggressive crocodiles.
There are a lot of misconceptions and fear-based reactions that persons have about crocodiles. There's a lot of fear, and to a certain degree, rightfully so. They are large predators. They can be harmful, but a cow or a dog is equally or more so harmful, and persons encounter those fairly regularly and get more injuries than crocodiles. A lot of people have the conception that the animals are out to get you. Like, they're coming in your space because they're hungry and they want to eat you and all of these things.
Ideas that are fueled by movies and documentaries. And with more infrastructure being built and people moving into wetland areas to live, more Jamaicans are coming into contact with crocodiles, a recipe for disaster, not just for humans, but the animals too. Institutions like the Holland Bay Crocodile Sanctuary in St. Thomas aid in their preservation.
One of the biggest threats when it comes down to the population of the species, aside from habitat loss, is poaching, human interaction, all of these things. So a facility like this allows for people, the general public, to come and understand how the animals operate.
It's basically getting people exposed to this particular species as well as the type of environment they live in, and it's an educational process for them.
The sanctuary serves as a research and monitoring center that also does outreach and training programs. Jamaicans are invited to the Holland Bay Crocodile Sanctuary to learn more about the American crocodile. Knowing more will aid in our interaction with the animal and help us understand the many reasons why conservation is important. One of which is the fact that they have been described as wetland engineers.
In the wetland, you have areas that the crocodile would habitually go through, and it creates this channel and it connects that water source to another water source. Without those channels, they would then be overgrown by some of the reeds. Why this is important is that those channels allow for juvenile fish. It allows connectivity between the wetlands, the estuaries, and sometimes the sea.
Environmentally, it allows for better hydrology for mangroves. Getting back to where we started, while they're generally passive, crocodiles are predators, and certain conditions could see changes in behavior.
Behavioral change, just like any other animal, can be preempted by humans. So people feeding crocodiles somewhere where they know, so a fishing village, gutting the fish, throwing it. The crocodile gets used to that easy meal and associates people being fed. Just like not a dog or a cat that you usually feed and it comes around all the time. And we don't encourage this because it can lead to tragic interactions. A crocodile may see someone and now approach instead of retreating.
It is best to let the professionals deal with them.
The correct course of action is to notify the authorities, because depending on the situation, it may be a watch and see thing, or there may need to be some sort of intervention to protect both the person and the crocodile.
For more information, contact the National Environment and Planning Agency at 876-754-026 or visit the head office at 10 to 11 Caledonia Avenue, Kingston 5.
Thanks for tuning in to Jamaica Magazine. Join us again tomorrow for another lineup geared towards providing you with information on the government's policies and initiatives for building a better Jamaica. You may visit our website, jis.gov.jm, to rewatch this show or catch up on the others we have on the site. I'm Theodore Henry, thanking you for watching on behalf of our production team here at the JIS.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.